I don't know why I'm doing this. Hey, I'm Ego and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization, and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Today I have a really amazing ayahuasca trip report for you. Absolutely amazing story. Stay tuned till the end. By the way, I'm running out of trip reports and I do not want to fall into the trap of just going into journeys for the purpose of a YouTube channel. I've talked to a couple of people who did this, but I am not going to. And at the moment, as I kind of just go with the flow of going into experiences, and at the moment there's a period of time where I'm not journeying as often. So probably we'll talk more about the psychedelic experience and the phenomenology and all kinds of interesting topics a little bit more, and maybe I'll go into a phase where I am gonna journey a little bit more, but just to let you know, I'm running out of stories. But this is an amazing one, because this ayahuasca experience was one with somebody who learned from Julian Palmer. From Julian Palmer himself, kind of brought Changa into the world as a big voice in the psychedelic community. I'd love to meet him one day. And a student of his was facilitating the experience, and a friend of mine was telling me about it. He was like, oh, you should meet this guy, and he's giving an ayahuasca ceremony. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm in. And then my friend was like, oh, I'm not gonna be there. And then at ICPR I met this wonderful woman and I told her about it, and basically our first date was this ayahuasca ceremony. So that was kind of a funny coincidence, kind of funny setting for the experience. And also the timing of the experience was incredible. It was end of October 2022, and exactly 1 year, like to the date, it was just a 1 day ceremony, and to the date I've had 1 year before the most traumatic and intense ayahuasca experience of my life in Peru at the 14-day ayahuasca retreat. If you haven't watched the video series, you can watch this video right here about my most intense ayahuasca journey. So it took me a whole year to muster up the courage and seize the opportunity to go into an Aya journey again. And it was crazy. I didn't know. I just arrived there, and then at this time I was reflecting upon my other experiences, and I noticed like it's been a year to the date, exactly a year since my last journey. And I was like, oh shit, like here we go again. I was really nervous, had a lot of respect for the medicine. I was like, oh, like what? I was sure, like this was my intention for the journey. Like I was sure that I am gonna go into this state of facing death again, because that is how my kind of journey ended in Peru a year before. And I was like so excited, so nervous, so having such a deep respect for the experience. By the way, if you want to know how to prepare for an ayahuasca experience, there's a workbook that I've created. Everything you need to know about the diet and ayahuasca itself. You can download it for free. The link is in the video description below. So, this facilitator was really interesting because he had a really nice and interesting and refreshing approach to the experience, learning from Julian Palmer. It was not this shamanic traditional setting, but it was more like a Western approach. And it was my first time experiencing this Western approach. And I really liked it. It was very he was explaining everything very scientifically. He told us about all the plants that were in the brew. It was I'll have to look it up. It was the Acacia curti, the Northern Brother wattle acacia from Australia, a very rare acacia that is probably not found in almost any ayahuasca. That's what he told me, at least, because it's a very rare species that you can just source from kind of one part of Australia. And the Mimosa hostilis and a little bit of Bobinsana. And he kind of explained everything that went into the brew, which amounts, and just like very scientific. Even when we got to the drinking, he measured the dose. So I drank like 20 milliliters of this batch of ayahuasca, and then he was like, I don't know, documenting everything, just like very scientifically. Also, he told us beforehand he's gonna beatbox during the journey, and I was like, beatbox during the journey? What are you talking about? It's like, I don't know if that's gonna go well. And he's like, oh, trust me, it's like, I've done it. And he even gave talks about beatboxing in psychedelic sessions. So that was kind of a curious approach, and yeah, just like very, very interested in how he facilitated the ceremony, but we'll get to that a little bit later also. Yeah, so let's jump into the journey. We did a Wim Hof session the day before. No, on the same day even. Just like Wim Hof ice bath, deep Wim Hof breathing workshop. And then we went into the ceremony. And I'll read a bit from my notes because it's been a year almost since I've had this journey. And the first thing I wrote down at the end of the journey is like, it's such a good brew. And I like his approach of facilitating. So as I said, 20 milliliters, and I was like, you can't believe how excited I was, like how nervous I was going into this journey. And I drank it, it came on very slowly, very, very subtle for like around 30 minutes. My state of mind was just like, I'm open, I'm inviting the medicine in, I'm accepting everything that's gonna occur. And like after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes I get into this mind space, as I did here, of like doubts of, oh, is the medicine gonna open up today? Is something happening or is nothing happening? Because I've got just one night, and a lot of the times it's just like I drink a couple of nights and sometimes nothing happens or just very physical effects happen. So I was like, oh, is it gonna open up or not? I don't know. But slowly it became more present, and I didn't know like what to make out of this state. It's like the music was fast, but my experience was not really unfolding. But also fine. The way he facilitated the music, by the way, was while he was not beatboxing, he was having a playlist, but he was not having a set playlist, but just like feeling in the moment of which songs to play when, which was kind of, I think it was interesting, and he did a good job of like choosing the right song and the right timing, kind of. It was interesting. of like feeling the vibe of the space and then choosing the music. And then the question came up. Anybody want a second dose? Like after 30 minutes or something. And everybody took the second dose. Everybody went to take the second dose. And in that exact moment, like exactly at that moment, I started to feel the effects coming on. Quite strong. And I was like, it was getting really, really intense. And I was like, should I take more now or not? It's like, because I wanted something to happen in the last 30 minutes. I thought nothing was happening. But exactly at the moment I was about to go to take my second dose, everything intensified. And I went to the front. He showed me the second dose. He was like, oh, you want some more? You want a little bit less? So it's like, huh? And my first dose was a little bit bigger than everybody else's first dose because I was kind of more experienced than the other participants. It was a really small group of 7 people or 6 people just even, and 3 facilitators. Amazing ratio of facilitator to participants. I really enjoy those kind of smaller groups way more than the big ones. And I sat before the second dose in the cup, and I was like having the urge to purge, feeling really sick, everything intensified, and I was like, okay, my feeling said it's like I'm not gonna take the second dose. And he's like, sure, you can come whenever you want, you can drink it. And so I didn't. I went to the bed, laid down, and I was letting go. And now the experience began, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So it began to completely open up as soon as I was lying down, even without the second dose. Completely opened up. And first it was like a little bit slower onset, but like a full-blown DMT experience. Like smoke DMT or Changa experience. Alien sounds, visuals hard to describe, but also just completely beyond human comprehension. And just like this full-blown visual hallucinatory DMT state. And I was like holy smokes, is this gonna go on for hours now? because it was just so overwhelming. But I was like, yeah, something is happening. Utter amazement of the clear, like DMT-like feelings. Because many of the other experiences were very heavy in my body. Like much more of the MAOI content, of the MAO inhibitor in the brew itself, of the Aya vine. Especially like in many brews there's a heavy MAOI content in them. And he told us beforehand the brew was a lot more DMT, a little bit Bobinsana and some other stuff, and just enough of the MAOI to get the effects going. Because he said it's like, we in the West, we don't want to have this physical purge. We want to have the visionary experience. And there's discussions about if that's good or not, or right, or part of the experience or not. But this felt amazing. It just had this pure DMT vibe without a heavy body load. And that was amazing. That was very remarkable about the experience and about the brew. And also it was my first ayahuasca experience where I didn't have to purge, where I didn't have to vomit. And that was just mind-blowing, amazing. Because I really, sometimes I enjoy the vomiting and the purging. If it's part of the experience, it's part of the experience. If it wants to come, it wants to come. But here I didn't even had the urge. I mean, sometimes I had kind of some subtle feelings, but very little body load in the experience. Absolutely great. And then the DMT was amazing, and this feeling of awe and excitement and humbleness and a little bit of fear because it was just so much, and gratitude started to unfold. And the first realization came. And it is hyper intelligent. It is hyper intelligent. It is intelligence beyond human intelligence. I don't know if it's the molecule, the DMT, the plant spirit of the wattle or of different kinds of plants, but it felt like I was perceiving a higher form of hyper intelligence. And then the question came to my mind, because I'm kind of studying and reading a lot about it and different perspectives on it. So can I trust it? Can I trust this hyper intelligence? Does it have my best interest in mind? And I decided, yes, of course. I want to fully trust it and let go into it and let it do its work. And just trust and let go and trust and let go. Because otherwise it creates this weird dynamic of resistance, which is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right in the experience. I kind of choose to go more with the trust and let go path. And I trusted and was letting go. And then the second realization came, which we was building upon the first one. And it was like, oh, it is my own intelligence. This hyper intelligence, I am it. I am hyper intelligence. It is part of me. It is me. It is not something other than myself. And that was mind-blowing. And I was like, it is me. It is me. I am this hyper intelligence. And that's where the teaching and the fun kind of began into this ride of the teachings of this ayahuasca session. And it was just teachings and insights over teachings and insights over teachings and insights. Way too much to humanly comprehend, because it came from this kind of hyper intelligence, and no way I could recall all of them. But I recalled a few main key points that I wrote down, and they still touch me to this very day, like a lot. And the first one, and the main kind of lesson of this whole journey, is live with an open heart. And then the question came, what does it mean to live with an open heart? And it showed me. And it opened my heart in the experience. And there was just this feeling of love. Love that I can give. Love that I can receive. and I can learn to allow myself to receive that love and to give that love. And it was just the most beautiful thing of like having the actual experience of what it feels like, what it is like to live with an open heart. Even though it was just for this short period of time, this feeling of living with an open heart, to integrate that and to keep that is very valuable, like very life-changing in a way even. And it is, I wrote down, it is opening the heart means trusting life. And it is about allowing all feelings to be felt. Also the excitement, also the fear, also everything, all the feelings, allowing all of them to be felt. That is living with an open heart, not resisting any emotion or any part of yourself. And I was excited. It was an experience that allowed me to trust the medicine again. Because I had this distrust for almost a year after my last experience, which was so intense, of the experience of the ayahuasca, of this resistance and fear of going into it again. And it was just a slow start, even though it was very intense, but a very kind and subtle start to dive into this realm again, after this utterly shocking experience. And that was beautiful. That was valuable in and of itself. Just this, okay, it is still like, there's still value in the experience. I don't have to kind of push it away for the rest of my life and end this relationship with this plant in that way. And it's showed me so much more, but it's very hard to recall. Just excited, passionate about everything to share, to nurture this community, to build up products, the course, the coaching, everything that's coming. So excited for everything that was going on, just feeling confident, feeling love for everything, and just being grateful for everything, for life. Life is a gift. And yeah, it felt just very good, very kind. It felt like goodness itself. Second lesson was more teachings about life and the universe and God, but I forgot the details. Third topic of the experience was the facilitator. I don't know why, but oftentimes I just get very fascinated with the facilitators of such experiences, and their work and their mechanisms of how they move and kind of hold the space for everybody. And it was an amazing guy. I really like his style kind of ceremony, even though it's kind of a more Western approach, more scientific approach, but amazing. Like, I always get this weird inspiration of, I want to learn from those people. I want to get mentored. I want to help and facilitate. And just like when I have good experiences, I'm just like in this passion. And I think many people feel the same way. But it was this reinforcement of this passion of facilitating some kind of space, which I'm moving towards in my life. And that was amazing. And sometimes I felt weird in between, because it's interesting because it moves so fast through all the topics. It moves from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And when one topic ends, you're kind of left in this unknown, in this blank space of like, okay, now I know I gotta live with an open heart. Got the message, and then there's this empty space of like, and what's next? And then there's like this kind of subtle fear of like, is it going dark? Is it going sour now? Or just like, okay, and then the next teaching comes. It's like, and yeah, just interesting to observe the spaces in between the teachings. And fourth point was, I wrote down just utter amazeballs. So awesome that something like this exists. Just tripping on the effects of the DMT and enjoying them. I was like, it's too good to be true, but it is true. And it is truly too good to be true to have access to this kind of experience. But that's what it is. We have the gift. It's a miracle that we are able to experience these different perceptions and states of consciousness. And we can be really grateful for that. Great, I've been talking for way too long. I want to wrap this up slowly. By the way, if you want to know anything about microdosing ayahuasca, just like taking the caapi vine, I've shot a video. You can watch it right here and check it out, and a little bit about my kind of perspectives on microdosing. But yeah, let's wrap this one up. After a while, I received some rapé from him, and we talked even a little bit. There was talking going on in the ceremony, very like subtly. I was like, oh, let's please not distract other people in their experiences. But we had nice conversations about non-duality, about our path, about relationships, and just like very chill vibe of a ceremony. Very interesting to kind of have interactions and conversations. At the end, kind of the effect slowly faded out. I gave him some rapé even, which was amazing, which felt kind of amazing. And yeah, the rest of the experience was just sitting up, looking at the candle and the altar and the crystals, and just trying to comprehend what just happened. This kind of hyper intelligence. And still, like, the DMT effects were so strong and so present that it kept kind of pulling me inwards. But yeah, just like contemplating different stuff and different topics, and just bathing in this kind of blissful state of oh yeah, it's good, life is good. I am this feeling of wholeness and gratitude, and just bathing in that, feeling confident. And yeah, I just gave up to think about anything else and was just enjoying the experience. Even in the experience, at the end of the experience, which was interesting to observe, I even felt a kind of post-trip anxiety, of like knowing that what the Aya showed me was just too much to handle for my human intelligence to just recall and remember afterwards, because it was just too much. And kind of knowing that I am not gonna be able to integrate all of what it showed me was kind of a little bit sad, but also just like accepting it, coming down by smoking some mapacho outside. I was sitting outside smoking mapacho by myself, away from the music, away from the people, just like realizing how amazing it is to have this kind of extended DMT state of just not being in and out really quick, but having this constant longer kind of feeling of the DMT, looking at the trees, having this extended trip. Absolutely amazing. I want to experiment more with combining the MAOI and smoking DMT, or just eating DMT, ayahuasca. Stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you wanna see those experiments. Still like very nervous about those, but definitely something I want to explore soon. And yeah, that's about it. I was just grounding myself, and that's it. Lied down, chilled for a bit, and that was the experience. And yeah, the main lesson was just the open heart. It showed me how to live with an open heart, how it feels like to crack this heart open, which is most of the time so contracted and closed and resisting stuff and feelings from life. And also just this trust in the medicine. That was it. That was the experience. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to download the ayahuasca workbook that I put together for the diet and everything you need to know before your Aya experience. Excited things upcoming. I'm kind of feeling the call to have some journeys again, to tap the toes into the deeper waters of the psychedelic experience again. Hope you enjoyed that one. I just ramble on those trip reports, which I'm really excited about, but I think it's a good length of video with all the details of the experience in them. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, psychedelicactualization.com. I love you all very much, and remember to just allow to open your heart. Whatever that means for you. Blessings.